Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the Handyman Business YouTube channel. The topics of discussion are always about being self-employed in the remodeling and home improvement industry. Home repairs, light fixtures, ceiling fans, bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, decks, small additions. We don't talk much about scaling or growing or having lots of employees. Today's video is about customers that want a very detailed estimate. They want everything broke out. They want line items for every nail, every tube of caulk, everything. I don't think this is a problem, but it is a problem to some people. I think we're going to see this more and more as time goes on. Customer service is plummeting. It's going into the ground. From getting your car repaired to going to the doctor, the service is just horrible. With inflation going up, people are paying a lot more money than they're used to, and they're confused, they're frustrated, and they want to know where their money's going. So you got to put yourself in the mindset of the customer who's been taken advantage of for the last couple years. To do an estimate like this, you're going to do a lot of the same things that you do when creating an estimate for yourself, so you know how much to charge the customer. That's going to start with all your quantity takeoffs for all the materials. There's going to be several line items that you might not be used to, but in larger construction, whether it be commercial or home building, this is the norm. Everything is broke out. From the price that you're paying your carpenters, your tile setters, your painters, the cost of the paint. You even have to submit a spec sheet on what paint you're going to be using, what tile you're going to be using, what thin set you're going to be using. So there's really no discrepancies or unknowns to the general contractor. And in this case, it's going to be the homeowner. That's why most bids should come in pretty darn close. Boils down to what your overhead is and how much profit you're going to make and how much manpower you're going to throw at the project. So you got your materials. That's a known number. Now your labor. This is the part where we become uneasy. We don't really want to tell them how much we make an hour. Most people won't understand it, but you got to do it. You put it on paper, it's going to make sense, and if they're either going to take it or leave it. Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. You can get an exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/thehandyman. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Users can get a huge discount with the purchase of a 2-year plan. Do you have a cybersecurity system installed on all your devices? If you're out using public Wi-Fi, criminals can easily intercept your data. If you have NordVPN, they encrypt your data so nobody can hack it or steal it from these public Wi-Fi networks. If you're like me, you've got tons of accounts and tons of passwords, and it's a lot to manage. With NordVPN, you can turn on the dark web monitor. You'll get alerts if anybody's using your credentials that appear on these underground hacker websites. I get tons of emails every day. So many emails, I'm drowning in them, and a lot of them have attachments. And if you click the wrong attachment, you got some malware. With NordVPN's threat protection, it scans these attachments before you download so that you don't get malware on your device. Get the exclusive NordVPN deal right here, nordvpn.com/thehandyman. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Let's just say we're gonna paint a bedroom. It's going to paint a bedroom. You're going to have to come up with a duration of time that it's going to take to paint that bedroom. You got to mask things off. You got to clean up. You might have to paint the ceiling a different color than the walls. Give yourself a little bit extra time. It will always take you longer than you think. The longer you do this, you just know how long it's going to take. Most people will say it would take 4 hours. It's actually going to take 6 hours because I've done this 500 times. How much do painters make in your area? Keep in mind, this is not the business owner, just a painter. Is it $25 an hour? Is it $35 an hour? There are things attached to that guy's labor. You got workman's comp, you got liability insurance. He may also get paid days off. So we're just going to use the number 35 bucks an hour. Now there's other things, like what if there's material, like gallons of paint? Someone has to go to the store, get that off the shelf, pay for it, drive it to the house. That's a delivery fee. When you put that down on a line item, the customer might be like,
delivery fee for a gallon of paint? Well, screw you, I'll go buy it myself.
Okay, you're more than welcome to do that. You have to be paid for every second that you're doing work for this project, or else it won't be worth it in the end. You won't make enough money to justify the time you're putting into it. You can mark your materials up and cover those costs by the markup. You can put in material handling or delivery fees. say this was a finished basement, you can actually have the lumber yard deliver that to the house, and there you have a receipt to justify the delivery fee. You're not out there picking out the lumber, loading it, delivering it. I do suggest you pick your own lumber out, because you know how that goes. They give you the freaking potato chips, the potato chip 2x4s. But you got to be paid for that. You got to be paid for going to the Home Depot or going to your lumber yard, getting splinters in your hands, loading the plywood up, loading the 2x4s, loading your own tools up. All that has to be time. So you could factor that into your labor. So you could add that to your labor quantity. So instead of 6 hours of painting, you've got 10 hours. Well, the customer like,
well, you were only here for 6 hours.
Explain that to them. You know, you can have your line item for painting, and then you can have a sub-line item, material gathering, acquiring the materials, delivery, things like that. You play around with the wording. So another line item that most estimates have is profit. So you have to tack on a profit, because you're just paying yourself at this point. So you got to make a profit, 10%, 15%, 20%. You may have to play around with the numbers a little bit. You should have a grasp of what the market value of painting that bedroom is. Is it $1,000 to paint that bedroom? You have options to play with the number. You can bump up the labor a little bit. You can bump up the materials a little bit. You can add profit. Now there's another one, overhead, the gas to get there. You know, maybe you have a shed or a garage or a workshop where you store your drop cloths and all your painting materials. Actually, just pick this up. This whole table was just filled with painting materials and drop cloths from the last job I just did. But it's stored here up in the shelves. It just doesn't just magically appear. That you can put that on your line item estimate. You give it to them. And if they like it, they hire you. If they don't hire you. But don't put yourself in a position where you start lowering your prices just to get the job to eke out a little bit of profit, or you're gonna be in a bad mood because you're doing it for much less than you normally would. So when I give a customer a one item or a one line item price, I can break it all out and make it make sense if it needed to be that way. There are certain things that I can do throughout the course of a larger project to save money, like me going to get the materials myself, maybe reusing some of the materials that I already have in the workshop, things like that. You know, I've got boxes and boxes of all sorts of fasteners in the cabinets over there. I can reuse those, price it out where you purchase a new box of screws for every job. If it takes, you know, some deck screws or some drywall screws, well, they got to pay for a full box. You get to take that box home, roll it over to the next job, but the next job you're still going to charge for a full box. So I've had this question come in several times, like how do you justify your pricing? It's easily justifiable when you break it out like that. From the materials, the labor, marking the materials up. Even though I've said in the past I don't mark materials up, it's usually because I'm giving a $1 figure estimate. It's just all rolled in. I don't have to write it out on my estimate. That delivery fee is just rolled into that one figure price. If you have to break it out, you got to find a place to put all those little extras for customers that will take a $1 figure price without seeing it broke out. One of your fastest goals that you need to achieve is to get enough savings and get ahead so that you're not forced to take jobs that don't make sense, or that don't make the right amount of money. Get to a point where you can be selective in your jobs so you can get paid what you feel you deserve, so you can put the proper amount of effort in to put out a good product, and the snowball effect will be more jobs, higher paying customers, and you have a whole plethora of high quality jobs that is your portfolio. On the main YouTube channel, the #1 comment is, how do you get your jobs? How do you get your jobs? What app do you use? They can't fathom, they can't understand how word of mouth advertising works or how repeat customers work. So the job that I start tomorrow is a repeat customer that goes back close to 9 years. I've worked on 3 of their houses. They've sold a couple of them. They've gained a couple of them. They predate my time on YouTube. That's the best way to do it. I don't have to break anything out. And basically, we've had a conversation that it should cost about X amount of dollars. But it really depends on the tile you select, the pattern that you want, these couple of unknowns. I am going to do a business video and a main YouTube channel Handyman video on that project because it's kind of unique. There are so many unknowns. I don't know what's under that tile. I have no idea why that tile is literally hovering an inch off the ground until I pull that tile up. So how do you deal with that as far as an estimate? Please put your comments down below and discuss this topic. How do you handle it? Personal experience only, please. Not something that you heard some other Joe Blow influencer talk about. How have you personally handled a customer that wants to know the price of everything? They want to see it written down. They just want to know where their money's going. They don't just write blank checks. Well, some people do, but it's becoming less and less common because of how bad they're being screwed over just in their day-to-day life, trying to get things done. Heck, just going to the grocery store now is a task. Caulk gun sweatshirts on sale. Limited time only, full price. Link will be in the top of the description. Also, check out today's video sponsor. Their link will be in the top of the description.